Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday to all of you who are joining us for today's webinar on holistic mental wellness. I am Sarah Ramos and I am from Organic Intelligence. So, in behalf of Organic Intelligence, we want to welcome all of you here today. Thank you to everyone who is here tuning in to our webinar. Welcome to everyone who has shared time with us before to our clients and partners in OI, as well as for those of you who are just getting to know us today. welcome to all of you as well. We hope that wherever you are safe and you are well and you are healthy. Okay, so we look forward to spending time with you today. It's another hour of learning and discovery and sharing with one another. So before we begin, and I know that this is a very interesting topic for a lot of people, we are all quite concerned about staying well, not just on one aspect of our life, but on different aspects of it. So before we get there, allow me to introduce organic intelligence to you a little bit more. Okay, so who is Organic Intelligence who will be bringing you this webinar today? Organic Intelligence is a marketing and communications think tank. Okay, we are in an insights to solutions house, and what we really do is we look at harnessing best practices both in global and local resources. And what we do is we use those to connect to organizations and then connect organizations with their intended audiences and their stakeholders, which could be either customers externally as well as internal customers of the organization as well, which are made up of their employees. Okay, so that is who we are. But we do this using our business unit. So we have several competencies. First is our competency for marketing communications. This is really where we help organizations with brand and people marketing planning, anything that has to do with communications, design thinking, data design, visualization, and branding. Okay. The other competency that we have is in market intelligence. Okay, so market intelligence is where we deep dive and really look for information that can help an organization to make decisions. So here we do qualitative and quantitative research, online, on ground, channel specific, digital and financial audits. We use experiential research, ethnographies, as well as new models of research that are available as well. Our other competency is in the space of development communications. Here we work a lot with communities, with health organizations, and what we do is we provide them landscape scans. We do a lot of health consumer insights for private and public and international organizations as well. We do capacity building and a lot of behavior change and strategic work as well. The last competency that we have is for people development. And here, what we do is really focus in three different buckets, which is organizational development, trainings and workshops, and coaching. Okay, so let me deep dive a little bit into that particular competency. Okay, what are the services that people development offers? As I mentioned, we do work in organizational development, and here our thrust is really to be able to help organizations achieve goals that they have that are aligned with their strategy, aligned with their culture, aligned with their purpose. So we do consultancy work, and here we really try to look at a lot of the elements that make up an organization, from their people to their processes and their systems, as well as deeper looks into their values, their mission, their vision, as well as their organizational purpose. We also work in spaces of employee engagement, crafting internal communication campaigns, as well as providing them with analyzing what are their training needs as well. So we also do trainings and workshops, and for that we have a whole slew, an array of programs that we offer to our partners and our clients. And when we do that, the thrust is still, while we have programs that we have authored and prepared to target different competencies like building a team or being able to strengthen communication, equipping them for sales and negotiation, developing leaders. Okay, we also do learning academies if there is an organization that has a need for more than one particular course and we are targeting different kinds of competencies, then we do that via academies. And then we also work with in-house trainers. So if you want to further build the competency of your trainers, then that is also something we can do. And while we do have a catalog of our programs, we really work very closely and very collaboratively with our partners, so that what we do is we can offer them something that is customized to their particular need. Okay, the last bucket is in coaching. which is really all about driving performance. So that can be about driving individual performance, the performance of a leader, the performance of somebody specifically in the team. Okay, so we do all of that. We can do that in the context of one-on-one. Usually, there are times when we can also do it as as a group, and then we also do performance coaching, which we do for sports teams. Okay, so very performance and output based kind of coaching. Okay, so who are the clients that we work with as a whole for organic intelligence? So these are just a few of the clients that we currently work with. They are leaders in a wide array of industries, from UN agencies to finance, to development organizations, companies in media and telecommunication, health and wellness, products and services. So we have worked with quite a number of clients requiring us to, harness the competencies that we have, and in many cases, using those several competencies working together to come up with the best solution for our partners as well. I'll take a breath. Okay. All right. So okay, we also have strategic partnerships with several organizations. We are a member of Morris, and we are also affiliated, and we have a partnership with an Ateneo Business Resource Center. Okay, we also have a partnership currently going on with Pocket Mentor, which we are doing together with the group of Francis Kong. And the thrust of Pocket Mentor is really to bring the learning to the average Filipino. It's making learning accessible for everybody. So aside from that, we are also a member of SMR. We are affiliated with the DOST, and we are also a member of PhilJets. Okay, so we leverage on all of these partnerships in order to really provide the best solution and the best service that we can to our clients. Okay, so aside from all those things, organic intelligence is really all about serving and finding the best solution for the organization. So it's really, how do we help you? How do we come up with ways that we can assist you? The webinar that we do is one way that we do that. It is one way that we feel like we can reach more people. We can be able to share more people, the things that we know, and be able to impart that with a wider audience. So we're very grateful that you're here, that you are tuning in with us. So together with our strategic partnerships, what we also have is a very close working relationship with a community of other agencies that have expertise in events and IMC, PR, digital communications, multimedia content and production development, as well as community-based activations. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, Pocket Mentor. Okay, so all right, so I think I have introduced ourselves, and I'm sure a lot of you are now very excited really to learn more about what do we talk about when we say holistic mental wellness. How can we push that in our own organizations? Okay, and for this, I will turn the floor over to one of our partners in people development. He is Robbie Shalceta. Robbie is an accomplished trainer. He has worked in the academe as well. He has also certified in several programs. So I'm sure you have a whole afternoon of learning and discovery with him. Okay, so please welcome my partner for today, Robbie Shalceta, who is coming on screen.
Hello,
There he is. Hey, Rob.
and good afternoon for yet another learning these webinars that we share with everybody who are following us on YouTube and Facebook page. Thank you very much for being our loyal so much for in just now. You will have in your own life.
Okay. Rob, hi. I think it's just quite choppy. To everybody who is tuned into us, can you? I hope you
And
can
I
indulge
guess
us and give us a few minutes just so we can check our connections and make sure that we are able to share this with you properly.
okay. Apparently, my connection is has not been good today. Uh, it's not behaving. I
Now
hope everybody can hear me.
yeah, but I think everybody who is working virtually and working from home, you can all kind of understand
You
our
caught.
predicament of like struggling with connectivity and struggling with bandwidth. So we're very appreciative of your understanding as well as just asking for your a little bit of your patience so we can sort things out while waiting for better signal essentially. These are what I call like givens in any situation. Rob, you're back. Are
Am I
you
back?
here? Yes.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Can you see
This
me?
is better. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Okay. So, like I said a while ago, thank you so much, Sarah, for the introduction. Sorry, I didn't say that a while ago. Okay na rin
So
because you did, nobody heard me anyway. So, but thank you, Sarah, for the introduction. And Sarah always likes to oversell me every now and then. So, kasi kaibigan ko
it's
siya.
well deserved.
Okay. And but thank you also to all of you who have been very loyal in following us here on our live seminar or live webinar series. And we just want to thank you for always being there, for being our loyalists. For those of you who are logging in for the first time, thank you for spending time with us. And at the same time, we're hoping that you get out of this session that we have today several things and to practice it and
Okay, I think we have lost Robbie. We apologize again for that. It is it is such a struggle. We are very dependent on whatever signal the internet gods will be able to send us. So it is not apparently working for us on a Thursday afternoon. So I will take over for from Robbie. Okay, so essentially what we will talk about today is about mental wellness, but a holistic kind of mental wellness. Now if you think about it, we have experienced and we have heard this a lot, right? In the past few months, we have constantly been talking about mental wellness, how it has been such a significant thing that people need to pay attention to in order just maybe not even to thrive, but just survive the past year that we've been in. And even prior to the pandemic, we've had conversations about it. I know that you have had conversations about it, whether with your friends or with your organization, but it really was highlighted even more when we were thrust into such a disruptor, right? COVID happened, the pandemic happened, we all went into lockdown. And therefore, it was really becoming such a struggle for us to just be able to understand. Because a lot of us were feeling like, okay, I feel fine before. But how come there are so many things that are going on with me and the demands of the work that I have that are actually making it more difficult for me to be able to manage my state and really be truly productive in the way that we work. Okay, so and there he is again. All right, so welcome back, Rob. And I was just
thank
telling
you.
them, like mental wellness actually has been a conversation that we've been having for a while, but even became more heightened when we switched into, or when the pandemic happened, right? And it necessitated a lot of conversations to happen because we were really thrust into a situation where we needed to pay extra attention to our mental wellness in a very holistic way. And I was saying, not just to thrive, sometimes there were days simply just to survive, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's actually so very true. And simple things like this, when technology is not on your side at the moment and you're trying to
No,
make do, right?
I know.
That can add a little bit of stress, right? So, and you feel
It's
like you got
not
left out because you were booted out of the conversation.
true.
So yeah. So, but I'm back. Hopefully, the connection
Great.
is more stable now. And
All right. Then I'll really turn it back over to you, Rob.
all right, thanks, Sarah. Thank you for the sudden pitch in.
No
And
worries.
as Sarah mentioned, thank you so much. And as Sarah mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, what it has been a topic that we have discussed over and over again, and it's something that people actually look for in today's now normal. So how do we now take care of our holistic mental wellness, our holistic wellness, everything about and we've seen so many articles about this that nowadays you can see it in online newspapers or online blogs or YouTube channels. Everybody talks about wellness. Everybody talks about mental wellness. How do you take care of yourself? What do you do? And it's really something that if I'm going to talk about how we take care of this book the there's Covey talks about PPC balance or
This is such a great exercise in just maintaining overall state in the face of an cooperative internet connection. I think as much as we're trying to loop in Robbie because he is the expert when it comes to this, I will do my very best, okay, to do him justice and share with you this information. Okay, so again, when we really go to mental wellness, we have this notion that if we take care of one aspect of our life, we're just paying attention to how we feel mentally, then we're good. And that is enough. But the truth is, when we talk about mental wellness, there are other things that actually put pressure on that and influence that heavily as well. So it's not just a matter of, and you can sometimes think, how come when I feel down physically, it also takes a toll on me mentally? And that makes so much sense because those are all connected. Or how come when we have disagreements with somebody that we love, or we have struggles with our emotions, there's also this sense that we feel not completely well mentally. Again, makes so much sense because all of those are interconnected. So Stephen Covey talked about what he called a PPC balance. Okay, what is the PPC balance? I'm sure you all know of that story when we were children, when there was a story about the goose that lays the golden egg, right? And that story was really all about, there is this goose who laid the golden egg. And what happens was, the man who owned it was so like, okay, I want more of that. I want this goose to really lay more eggs. So every day the goose would lay one golden egg. But after a while, the man who owned him was like, surely there's got to be more than one inside this goose, right? And if I can get one, I might as well get it all. So I don't have to wait every day for one and I can just get everything. Okay, so what happened there? Of course, what happened was he opened the goose and then the goose died, right? Because he could no longer lay the golden egg. Now, how is that even related to mental wellness? A lot of the time, what happens is we push and push and push ourselves. Okay. I think we are all guilty of that in some way. or when we work with the team, also the people that we work with. So we make that push for people to deliver, right? For people to put in the work. In fact, during this pandemic, I saw one meme that said, I'm very confused at my life right now. I do not know if I am working from home or if I am living at work. Which, when I saw it, I was like, wow, that is actually true for so many people, right? And we were somehow blurring a lot of lines in terms of what's the boundaries that we were setting for working. And it's very much like this. So we work and we work and we work and we drive ourselves to that because we're thinking, okay, great, I will be productive, right? And I will continue to lay that golden egg. But a lot of the time, what happens is also there is a trade off that happens. And this is where Stephen Covey talks about this, okay, which is the PPC balance. PPC balance is all about production versus production capability. Okay, production is your ability to produce results, whatever that is. And your results are not just your work results. Your results are the way you parent, okay, the way you are a friend, as a friend, the way you are in other aspects of your life outside of just work. Your production capability is the time that it's taken to improve the quality of those results. So if you're familiar with Stephen Covey, he really talks about having a balance between production and production capability. And it is understanding that for you to be able to produce well, okay, for you to be able to come up with really great results, you also need to take care of your condition to be able to produce that. And that's where the PPC balance comes in. Okay, so how is this related to mental wellness? Okay, what we do is we take care of this PPC balance in this new normal. Again, there is a lot of us just, like struggling with finding that balance. We stay up longer hours, okay? We work much longer hours. I think there's also, and I see this because, I mean, I read a lot of like concerns of workers that are even on Facebook or in other sites where people raise their concerns, and a lot of them do say that there's this sentiment of them, there's this feeling that their boss feels like, okay, you're just at home anyway, and therefore because you are just at home, it's actually okay for you to take on more work, right? I wonder how many of you have been told in your own experience, it's okay. You can take this meeting even if it's 9 p.m. You're just at home anyway. And that completely defeats the idea of some kind of balance in our lives that takes care also of our production capability, our ability to produce those results consistently, okay? And to that same level of excellence that we are used to. Okay, next slide, please. So the question is, how do we keep this balance? That's such a difficult question, right? So how do we keep this balance? We keep this balance really one first by becoming aware that there is a balance or there is an imbalance. Yes, next slide. So Abraham, next slide. Actually, okay, there is a quote that Abraham Lincoln said, and he said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down the tree, and I will spend the first four sharpening the axe." Okay, so it's really all about if you want to produce the results, you have to sharpen the saw, as Stephen Covey adequately put it. What is sharpening the saw all about? Okay, sharpening the saw is when you create habits of self renewal that are meant to preserve and enhance the greatest asset that you have. And that is you. Okay? When you have a balanced program for self renewal in 4 different areas in physical, social and emotional, mental, and spiritual. Um, so these are the 4 dimensions. There is a mental dimension, there's a physical dimension, there's a social emotional dimension, and there's a spiritual dimension. All of these dimensions work together, okay? They are very integrated in the way that they contribute to our overall mental wellness. No one dimension is more important than the other. They are all equally important, and therefore when we think about self-renewal, all requiring us to pay attention to them, right? It's not enough that we say, okay, I will harness and like really build my mental wellness by just focusing on my mental and social emotional dimensions. And I think the spiritual and the physical, it's okay, I'll be fine without that. Okay, so it doesn't work that way. When we really want to harness all the dimensions, what happens is when we really want to sharpen the saw, we really have to look at all these four dimensions simultaneously and together. Okay, next slide, please. So, when there is a lack of balance in that particular four dimensions, what could you possibly be feeling? Okay, a lot of you could possibly feel fatigued, right? Fatigue meaning it's not just that you're tired, it's like you're constantly tired, right? You can't get up in the morning, you really lack the energy. Okay, what else? There's a lack of focus. Okay, that means sometimes you're reading the same thing and you cannot seem to understand what it means. Or if you're working, you're looking at one Excel spreadsheet and none of the numbers make sense as well. Okay, you also can experience low energy, which can also be that like you just don't want to do anything, nothing is interesting to you. Most likely you want to just stay in bed. Okay, and a lot of this makes you, of course, disconnected from people. You'd rather keep to yourself. Okay? You don't feel like you want to be around other people. You withdraw. You spend a lot of alone time. Okay, guys, I'm not saying alone time is not good. Okay, that's very, very important as well. In fact, that is something that can help you renew. But there are days when you feel it's not that you're looking for alone time. You feel disconnected. You feel like you're not part of that particular experience. Okay. You also can suffer from a lack of creativity. You lack stimulation when it comes to mental exercises, or you just don't feel up to it. In terms of the creative ideas that you have, it feels sorely lacking and even sometimes absent completely. Whereas before you were, like you were just a basket of great ideas. Now it's just not happening for you. And of course, you feel there is no order. It seems like things are out of control, nothing is in place. And even the things that you can control, somehow there are times when you let it fall outside of your control. Okay, so if you experience any of this, most likely, okay, what's happening is you are experiencing a lack of balance in one of those four, if not all of those dimensions. So, what is it that you need to do? Okay? Okay. You also need to check if your subordinates, if or your teammates may lack balance. Okay? How? In the workplace, are they disengaged? Are they not actively participating? Meaning they're just not interested. They don't show up sometimes for meetings, right? And even when they're there, it doesn't feel like they are truly present. Sometimes it feels like they're just there physically, but not really contributing anything. They don't actively engage. They don't ask questions. They're pretty much just a warm body or sometimes a face in a Zoom, like in a virtual meeting, but you don't really feel that they are present. There are instances where you may also want to check if they are experiencing delays in turning over deliverables to their superiors or to certain projects that they may have. Um, if they take a lot of leaves, okay, and sometimes when they take a lot of leaves, they're also unreachable. Okay, so you can't find them, they don't answer their phones, which is normal, okay, if they're on leave. But normally, when people just disappear without notice, that's when it becomes a matter of concern. Okay, when they also show significant changes in their behavior, this is also something that you may want to pay attention to. What do we mean when we say significant changes in behavior? It really means when, I mean, okay, just because someone's tired doesn't mean automatically you go to them and you say, oh, you lack PPC balance, okay? Sometimes it's really just a long day, right? So when we say significant changes in behavior, you notice that day in and day out, week after week, they seem to be disengaged from the work already. They're not, they're not speaking up, they're not sharing their ideas, the quality of their work has dipped. So every time you observe that, like, and it becomes a pattern, then it's really something that you can flag and you can identify as not in a flag in like like in a bad way, but really to flag in such a way that we are aware that there is somebody on our team who could possibly be struggling and there is something that we can do for them. Okay, next slide please. So, how do you renew yourself? Okay, there are different ways that you can renew yourself in the different dimensions. So, first, and I think the easiest, right? In terms of the physical dimension, what are the ways that we can do in order to renew ourselves? First, you can eat healthy. Um, and really to debunk the eating healthy, it's not like when you eat healthy, all you eat will be salad. Okay, because somehow we have that notion that okay, if it's healthy, it's very much operating from a space of deprivation. It doesn't have to be that way. It really just means we eat food that nourishes our body as well as gives us power, gives us the strength to take on the day. Can there be treats? So there can be many, right? Spread out across the week because that will also contribute to your overall emotional state. But overall, it's really for us to make good decisions in terms of what we consume and what we eat. Okay? Very important. Second thing, we sleep well. I feel like this is something I should be reminding myself as well. Sleep is so critical. It allows our bodies to repair, to renew, to have that rest that we need in order to do the tasks that are expected of us on a day to day level. How many hours of sleep is recommended? There is truth to sleeping 8 hours a day. You have to give your body time to renew. Now, I think sleep is very personal in the sense that some people are functional with less than that. So this is very much a personal thing. But whatever you know and you have identified to be what you need, then stick to that. I find that when you monitor the number of hours that you sleep, if you have like a fitness tracker, it also helps because you are more conscious about, like what time do I actually get sleepy? Or if you have triggers in terms of food that you consume that prevent you from sleeping, if you observe that and you keep track of those things, if you track your food and you track your sleep, somehow you can find connections in that as well. Personally, an example of that is when I know I cannot drink coffee after 3 p.m. Okay, because if I do, then I will not be able to sleep until like very very late, which is like 1 or 2. So that is something I have discovered for myself, and yours could be unique, but it's really good to pay attention. I know. Okay, in relation to the next one, move more. Okay, and when we say move more, again, what is that? Does that mean actually, like training every day for some marathon? Not necessarily. You can just simply take a walk. Okay, you can walk a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes at night. For moving more, it's really finding something you enjoy doing that doesn't feel like you're being forced to do something. There's a period of time where, because the workouts were all about hip, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. But then I realized it took so much of me to actually get up, and it became something that was now not, not making me want to move at all. So I shifted it, and I now just walk every day. And that is something that I actually appreciate and I enjoy that because it also helps clear my mind. Okay. The next, you can clean and organize. Yes, this can be something. There is also an element of taking something that's, if it's not clean and then you organize it, you put things where they belong. Visually, you're now, like in a space that's actually pleasant to look at as well. And then you are able to move your body and then do something productive as well. Okay, so those are the ways in which that you can renew yourself physically. What about in the other dimensions? How about mentally? What are the ways in which you can renew yourself from the mental dimension? Okay, the most obvious is when we try to learn more. So when we say learn more, what does it mean? It doesn't mean like you have to, like enroll in some postgraduate degree class. There's so much information out there that you can take just so you feed your mind with something new. Learning more can even be, you can read, of course, but we know now that information is coming to us in different platforms. So you can also learn more by watching YouTube videos. I do that a lot by learning how to cook something new. You can definitely, like watch YouTube, learn more theoretically, absolutely. You can also learn maybe how to play a new instrument, or it doesn't have to be something new. What if you just want to elevate the skill that you already have? That also falls under, sharpening your mental dimension. Playing games, okay? I have received many invitations during the lockdown for game night when we just, like play something that's trivia, or we use like something that's already available online, and we play all those games, right? Or you can sharpen your skills again. If you already have something that you have a talent for something, like playing an instrument or performing a specific task, then you can further learn about that and improve on that and build on the skills that you have. Okay, changing routine, this is very interesting. What do you mean by changing routine? This is when you, example, what if instead of when you wake up, you immediately have a cup of coffee? Let's say after you wake up, you like wash your face in a different way. Or when you take a bath, I'm sure you have a routine that you follow when you take a bath, right? What if you switch up, okay, the order of that? Okay, maybe that's something that can work. Even the routine of where you work in your own home, um, I am very much a creature of habit, so I always like to work in the same place. But sometimes, just to see a different perspective, I shift, okay, where I put my laptop, what I'm looking at, so just that I have a different view, and it really does help to make things feel like it's not as stifling as, like if I stay in the same spot over and over again. Okay. And another one is we can teach others. Every time, teach others whatever it is that we can impart to them. Somebody can come to you with a simple question, something that's more complicated. We can also help them with that. Okay. So these are the ways in which that you can renew yourself from a mental dimension. Okay. What else? How can you renew yourself from a social and emotional dimension? You can. First, and very critical, I think, is when you connect with friends and family. Our current setup is quite isolating. I personally have very strong experiences of feeling alone and feeling like, like I'm quite far away because I am by myself. And during lockdown, there's no opportunity to go out. So it is really about taking time to connect with people, to initiate conversations with them, to reach out. If if I'm feeling lonely or if I'm feeling sad, I do reach out to people just so I can have that conversation and a semblance of still being connected to other people. Okay. When you connect now, it's also good to have meaningful talks, right? Meaningful talks meaning that you can choose one, and then you really, if there are certain fears, certain challenges that you're facing, or it doesn't have to be negative. It can also be very positive. Like you want to share good news, okay? It's good to connect with people and have those meaningful conversations. Another way that we can nurture our social and emotional dimension is when we ask for help. This one I cannot stress enough. I think a lot of people, I've seen it a lot. People really want to help others. Sometimes there's just fear of, I don't know if I'm stepping a line or if I'm crossing a line or if I'm overstepping certain boundaries this person would have. But the truth is, when you ask for help, so many people in your life will be very willing to step up and provide you with the help that you need. Okay. And then, very critical and very related to asking for help is making the first move. Okay, being able to reach out to another person. It doesn't have to be in the context of help. A lot of the time, people will hesitate. When you make the first move, what can you say? Okay, you can say, "Hey, I thought about you today. I thought about you today, and I just wanted you to know that. Yeah, I wanted you to know that, and I wanted you to know that I'm here for you if there's anything that you need." Okay, I have several friends who reach out to me, and the only thing they send me are like, memes, right? Memes of their pets, of dogs, of things that they know would make me happy. But the effect of that for me is that I know they are available, okay? And that they are telling me that they are present. And that is super, super important, okay? So making the first move is also something that renews us when we do that for another person. Okay, and finally, okay, the last dimension that we will talk about is when we talk about the spiritual dimension. Okay, so what can we do to renew this particular dimension spiritually? Okay, when we say spiritual, it's far from just looking at it from a religious point of view. Okay, so it's deeper than that, it's broader than that. Okay, one way that you can renew spiritually is to have quiet time. I'm reading this and I'm laughing because I'm thinking quiet time is all I have most of the time, right? But there is so much merit because, and as much as I'm alone, and as sure, like if you are also working from home, yeah, you're alone, but aren't you spending a lot of time also like hopping from one Zoom meeting, virtual meeting to another? So when that actually happens, it's nice to have carve out some time at the end of the day just to sit down, like center yourself, take a breath, watch a show, whatever it is that you feel would benefit you as long as you're spending that quiet time with yourself. Goes without saying, it will help to pray. Okay. If you are religious and you are strong in your faith, that is definitely something that you can do. You can also meditate. Again, it's just thinking, spending some quiet time, centering your breath. It doesn't have to be very difficult, like yoga poses. Meditating can just be sitting quietly, like entertaining your own thoughts, looking back at what has happened, looking forward to the day that will come tomorrow, and just, being grateful for what has transpired. Next is when we help others. Um, I think there is so much here that renews spiritually. I think when you do a good deed for another person, that's when you really feel good, right? And that's why I am, always in awe of people who continuously give so much of themselves. I love those stories, especially when the community pantries came out, and there were so many stories of people who didn't have much and were willing to share. Like that to me was such a wonderful example of, I'm sure those people feel spiritually renewed, right? They felt happy, they felt like they did something good for another person. Oh, very key. The next one, a digital detox. Okay, what is that? It I think especially now we're constantly plugged into our devices, we're constantly online. It is also good every now and then to unplug, okay? Not to constantly feel like we have to check our phones, we have to look at their email, we have to check after every single beep that happens, right? It's good to stay unplugged for some time during the day, just so we can look and engage with people. If we live with family, it gives us that opportunity. They're actually people, real life people that are living with us, then it's a great opportunity to do that. But aside from just unplugging, part of digital detox can be un- unplugging from certain sites that trigger you, right? So you know that when you go to a certain site, when you read or tune into a certain kind of news, or you look at somebody else's feed, right? And you already know that it triggers you to feel negatively about, the situation or about yourself. So if you already know that, it's also wise to step away from those triggers as well. Personally, I've taken a huge step back from a lot of social media platforms. Really, because I spotted that it was not doing me any good when it comes to my own mental health. I was feeling constantly angry at what I was reading, and stepping away from that made me now be more purposeful in the way that I use it, in the way that I manage it, really to connect to other people. Okay. And the last one is to practice self compassion. There will be times that you will fail, right? There will be times when you will think, oh, shucks, I shouldn't have done that, or I had a mistake, right? But the truth is, okay, if you practice self compassion, you will understand that it's okay. It's okay. Nobody's expecting any level of perfection from you. And failing is actually just, it's very much part and parcel of life. We will all go through that. And then the important thing is we make a decision to do better the day after. Okay, so I love this photo. It's really like give yourself that warm hug, because as you're trying, and as you are navigating through life and trying to strike that balance, it is really all about being kind to yourself. Okay, so all of this is meant for you to feel like, while I may make mistakes, it's actually okay. Okay, so next slide is really all about understanding that yes, all of these dimensions are equally important. I mentioned this to you a while ago. So you can ask, right? You can ask, is it okay if I just choose one? Because I already move and I already sleep well. But I think that's enough. Okay. The reality is it is not enough. Okay. You will have to pay attention to all four dimensions. Now, do you have to pay attention to all four dimensions every single day? To a certain extent, yes. Okay. There will be days that require you to pay more attention to one dimension than the others. Now, you don't have to do all of those tips that we gave you. You can actually choose what works best for you. We may not even have cited something that you already thought of that helps you in that one dimension, and that's completely fine. As long as you are aware and paying attention to all the signals that you have. The most important thing, really, that you can do for yourself is to set boundaries. Okay? Set very clear boundaries for a balanced life. What does it mean? It's being able to say what's okay and not okay for you, right? What will work for you. An example that I cited a while ago was a boundary for me is to detach from certain social media platforms. That's a very clear boundary I set for myself. Okay. Another is, and you can set this boundary for yourself. I know a lot of people do this, is when they do cut-offs for how long they are going to work. Okay. Meaning, you say, I'm going to work from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m., right? That's my normal work day. 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Outside of that, I am no longer checking any emails and I will no longer accept any meetings. That's a clear boundary. The flip side of boundaries is this: people set boundaries, and it is up to us to also respect those boundaries that other people set for themselves. The reason why sometimes boundaries don't work for others is because they feel pressured to surrender that, again, because somebody oversteps that line. When we continue to, like, ask a person to work outside of office hours, that's overstepping a very clear boundary. Okay? Because the truth is, if we were still working face to face, a lot of those things would not really be acceptable. So be very clear about what's okay and not okay for you. If it's necessary, have these discussions with your managers, just so you're able to come to an understanding of what will work for both of you, right? Not what will just serve one party, but what will be mutually beneficial for both parties as well. Okay. Okay, I think this is something, and I love this photo. It's a half eaten cookie that really tells us, self love isn't selfish. It's important. And I'll go beyond that. It's not just important, it's essential, right? It is something we have to pay attention to. So every time you take time for yourself, please remember that you're not being selfish. When you take care of yourself, you have more to give as well. One of my grad school professors told us long ago, you cannot give out of a deprivation. Okay, so when you are depriving yourself, when you're not renewed, when you're not wholly well, you also don't have anything to give to others. And therefore, relationship suffers, work will suffer. And that's not something that we want. Okay, so please take the time to love yourself, to take time and take care of yourself, because that is very important in order to really thrive in this particular setup and even beyond this, even when we go back. Okay. Now, if you need professional mental health care, okay, these are situations where, like you feel like you really cannot manage it. You are thinking about very dark thoughts. You're thinking about that you don't feel capable and other people around you are not capable to help you. We strongly advocate for you to reach out and seek professional mental help. You can get that at mentalhealthph.org. If you have somebody confiding in you as well and you don't know how to help them, please reach out to a doctor, reach out to this website, find a way to connect them to a professional. Because while we mean well, if we are not fully equipped to help somebody in a really difficult situation, it is the best thing that we can do for them is to get them the kind of help that they need. Okay? So thank you. That was really long. I feel like, like it's, I think we tried to cram as much information as we could in such a short time. And if you have questions that, maybe we weren't able to cover, please send us to us now so we can answer it. I think this particular webinar on holistic mental wellness, it's really like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to, like talking about wellness, right? We have like whole programs dedicated to this. And it's really just an overview of, for yourself, what are the things that you can think about, as well as what are the things that, if you see in yourself or if you see in other people, what are the quick wins that you can have in order to pay attention to those four dimensions and hopefully take the steps necessary for self-renewal as well. Do we have questions? I think we do. Oh,
Okay, so I'm back, but I won't put on my camera because apparently that's what was happening a while ago, and
oh, okay. No worries.
so it will be a disembodied voice speaking to you, the voice of anyway. So anyway, but thank you, Sarah, for all the input. So if you have questions, please put them on the comment section of the YouTube channel that you are watching right now, and also our Facebook page. You can also put your questions there. So guys, you can put in or field your questions now. Do we have some questions that we have right now from our audience? And we will try to get to them quickly. Oh, here. So we have a question from RJ Santillan. So, is there a line that a person can detect to know if you're in an imbalance or you're experiencing symptoms of a more major mental disorder? I think if it comes to a point wherein you yourself are having questions about your own mental stability, and you've tried to set boundaries, you've tried to do your best to take care of yourself, then I think that's where you should be able to seek help. Ask help from someone who may be a professional, someone who could help you also figure out what it is that you're feeling. We many times we will need the help of another person, a third party, so that we can get out of that blind spot that we have. So if you are noticing an imbalance but you don't know what it is, and you're not sure whether it's already bordering on a mental disorder, seek help, because if we try to figure it out ourselves, we won't be able to do that. All right, so I hope I answered the question of, I find it hard to call him Ricardo Santillan, but yes, thank you, RJ, for that question. What about our next question? Do we have another one? I hope I answered that. Well, yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. This one. Okay, I can take this on.
Okay.
How do you
Sure.
start
Go.
talking to someone? How do I start talking to someone who I think needs help? This is, I now I regret saying I'll take on this question. This is actually something very tricky, but okay, let me start with this. When somebody needs help, the first thing that they will look for is somebody who is willing to listen to them. Okay, so the one thing that you can do to lay the groundwork for that is to tell another person, "I am here for you," even before anything happens. If and then you mean it. When you establish a kind of relationship with another person, that person will come to you for help. Now, when they go to you, or if you spot somebody needing help, please don't go to them and tell them, "Hey, parang you need help. Parang I notice you're not yourself. I think you should go seek help," because that feels very judgmental, right? And it puts the other person on the spot. What I would do if I spot that there is somebody that I know is struggling with something, I usually, reach out to them and I tell them, "Hey, been thinking about you, um, I just noticed that, you've been looking a little bit down. If I see that person constantly, or I see from your post that you're going through something, I don't ask for details. I simply tell them, I just want you to know that I am here. If you need to talk to anybody, please just reach out." So I give them that option because somehow it feels less intrusive and, like really more helpful instead of telling them, "Hey, I think you need help. You know what you can do?" And then we're very prescriptive about the things that we can do without still understanding the context of that person. And even when I have conversations with anybody who reaches out, it's normally not, "Okay, you do this." It's very rarely that. It's really just, "Okay, what are you going through? How does it make you feel? How can I help you? What do you think is best for you?" So it's really just helping that person come to a better state. And normally when people are going through something, or depending what kind of help they need, okay, this is in the context of things, the help that you can actually address yourself. They're just really looking for somebody to be there and to listen for them. Now, again, if you know that the kind of help that this person needs is more professional in nature, then please, please, please refer them to a person who can do that for them. The last thing that we want is also to play doctor when we do not have the capability or the competency in order to help. Because really, the reality is we could be doing more harm than good if we try to do that. Okay? There.
Yeah. I think maybe just to add a little bit to that also is that I sometimes we can have we have good intentions as to why we want to reach out to that person, and at the same time we need to also curtail our how do you say this, our parental kind of feeling towards that person to give advice, as Sarah mentioned a while ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's really just your presence, and being sure, making sure that you know that that person knows that you're available for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next
All
one.
right. The next one is from
It's from,
Irene Tiamson. So we have been hearing people say that they are feeling depressed. So, do we take it seriously? Is it a clinical term that is being misused? How do we address this? Okay, I'll try to. Sarah, you chime in as well after, but and at the same
yeah.
time, because I might, sometimes I might say something that may not be. But looking at it, when people start to say, and I've heard friends say that also, that they're feeling depressed. I think the first thing that we should do is really to take it seriously. We need to take it seriously. If they say it, then that's what they're feeling. It's not what you are feeling at that moment, because you may know this person, for a long time, and when that person says, I've been feeling depressed, and you just brush it off and say that, "Oh, no, you're just lonely ka lang." That's not. We're already negating what the person is feeling. So
Right.
yes, number one, I think we should take it seriously. Is it being misdiagnosed by the person? We don't know. If that's the case, if it's severe, if it's something that goes on for a prolonged period of time, let's say, 3 to 5 days, and they're still feeling the same way, I think that is already a cry for help. And then we should refer them to someone who can actually help them, someone more professional, if that's the case. Sarah, you might have thoughts as well.
Okay, agree completely. Do we take it seriously? Absolutely, right? It is a validation of another person's emotion that we take them seriously. I think our role is not to say, totoo ba yan? Baka hindi
Mhm.
naman talaga yan. Because the way that they label an experience is their reality. Now, I understand that it is a clinical term. So could it possibly be misused? Possibly, yes. Because honestly, as lay people, we don't really have like the clear medical definition of what that means. How do you address this? I feel like then we investigate and we talk to people who may be able to help us. If you have a doctor in the team, if you have a doctor that you can call to get that kind of consult, because that is sound advice. The last thing that I would want is just because a lot of people say, it seems because I've heard this a lot. Oh, it seems to be like depression is so rampant now. When we were kids, wala namang ganyan. It was not present. And then somehow we think that just because it wasn't there then, that means that when we hear it now, it's kind of used very flippantly. I don't agree with that. I think that just because that is not a reality doesn't mean that that is not the reality and a valid reality of another person. So
Mhm.
I would definitely look into it. I would investigate it. And if it is beyond my capability to help out this person, I would seriously refer them to another one. Okay, like a
Yep.
doctor who can.
Yep. Agree. Okay. Do we still have more? Oh, okay. This is from Dena. You take it,
Okay,
Sarah.
from Dana Care. Dana's like our mainstay for webinars. Unfortunately, not all companies understand that mental health is important. How do I bring up the topic to people who think that mental health is for the weak?
I love that.
Right. Okay, two things here. One, I agree. Not all companies understand that mental health is important, which is why I think we do things like this. It's and somehow for I would think the companies who don't understand it very well are just coming from a place where there's not enough information, or the kind of information that they have has is no longer significant, or there's others that have come up behind it that can be more, like I guess more informative. How do you bring up the topic to people who think that mental health is for the weak? Um, I would center it more on how are you feeling when people are, because when people say mental health, I don't mean to generalize, but especially when for those who are older, there is that sense of, wala naman ganyan eh, mahina ka lang, di ba? Mahina ka lang, kaya mo naman yan eh. Okay? So when that happens, it's really, I would ask them, what is it for you? Right? Then try to see first what it means for them. Because when you brand it and you say it's weak, at least get their perspective. When you say it's weak, what do you mean? What does mental health look like for you? What are indications that somebody's struggling? And then you open up those conversations without necessarily labeling it yet as mental health, right? What do you mean when you say when you feel, because remember there are four dimensions. When you feel well physically, how does it affect you? Do you think clearer? Okay, what are the factors that affect mental health? Clarity, right? Creativity, being able to focus, okay, being able to feel energetic. Those are all factors of mental wellness, and those are the things that you can talk about instead of labeling it as, like because it's mental health, then automatically people feel, wala lang yan, mahina lang yan. Yun. I hope that helped, Dana. Robbie, any inputs?
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's really something that it's a mindset that needs to change also within certain corporations, and slowly I think that's what's happening,
Yeah.
especially now that we're noticing that there are different generations that work within corporations. You have the baby boomers. You still have the baby boomers who are in charge. Then you have the Gen Xers, and then you have the millennials who are there, and some
And
Gen
there goes
Zers who are
Robbie
now.
again.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Oh,
yeah, I think,
am I gone?
yeah, you're choppy again. So I think you're,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I let me take out my
All
video.
right.
Hopefully it's better now.
Yeah.
So like
Okay,
I
so
was saying, oh, sorry, can you hear me?
it's really choppy, Rob. Okay,
Okay.
I think what Rob is really saying is that organizations, especially those who have been around for a while, we're now really a mix of a lot of different generations in the workplace. We have the boomers, Gen Xers, Gen Z, and then the millennials. Okay, all working together, and we look at things differently, and that's why I think conversations are so essential. Okay, conversations that are not automatically about the topic that could potentially be triggering to other people. We open up conversations that lead us to that topic that people feel more willing to participate in. So other topics that are less, I don't know, like controversial, probably, but still relating to that. So you can tell them, hey, how can we take care of our people? When you feel tired, what is it that we need to do? Okay. What do you do when you feel mentally exhausted? And you get inputs from them, and somehow that can begin the conversation already. Okay. Yes, we apologize for the occasional
Yes, I'm
disconnect.
really sorry about that.
It's
I
okay.
uh, I think I'll
Okay.
shut
I
off
think
my video.
we have two more. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Again, from RJ. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any tips on how to quickly incorporate a practice for better mental health in your daily routine? Oh, I have an answer for this. Okay.
Yes.
My
Go.
quick tip, okay, is to actually have a routine, a non negotiable routine that you have
Mhm.
within the day. What does it mean? The day is set, right? So normally when I start the day, and I'll just speak from my example because this is something that works for me. When I wake up in the day, there is a moment there of bargaining whether I will get up and actually work out or not. But I think I made that deal with myself that when I wake up, this is what I will do. I will dress up, I will have coffee, I will do a quick workout, then I will take a bath. Okay? And then I will see what my state is after all of those things. Because normally, here's the thing, even if I start off the day feeling not so energetic, by the time I do all those things, I feel primed and ready for the day. So, in terms of how to incorporate practice for better mental health, that's one way you establish a routine. You have certain non negotiables that you know is good for you and you will do no matter what. The second thing that I will say, RJ, is like what we shared. Wellness is really very holistic in nature. So if you're looking for ways to quickly incorporate it, you can find something to do on the different dimensions, something that you can do right now for physical. If you look at it, what is it that you need the most? Is it for you to eat better, to sleep better, to move? Okay, what is it that you need from a social emotional aspect, from a mental aspect, from a spiritual aspect? Choose one from any of those and then try to do that for the next week. Okay, there's actually an exercise that we do when we run our program for building habits for success, and that's something that we ask people to do. You have to have a commitment for this. The other thing is find a partner that you will share this to so that it can keep you accountable. Okay, so that it can keep you like in the sense that accountable, in the sense that if you say you'll do something, you will actually do it, and that person can also support you in doing that. Okay, so I hope that helped you. My best tip is really find something to do every day that renews all of those different dimensions.
Yep.
I think we
Agree.
have
I
one
think
more.
just
Yeah,
to add to that, yeah, we've said this, I guess, over and over again. It's really to create those boundaries for yourself and for others. Clear boundaries. So yeah, I agree. Thanks, Sarah. Is there one more?
I think there's one more. Yes, and I think this is
Ah,
the
there.
last one. Okay, and the
So
question is this, from anonymous na naman to. Okay. As a manager, how do I balance productivity with giving my team time to recharge? Work just doesn't seem to end. Okay,
okay, that's a yeah.
here's the thing. Work will never end.
Mhm.
Okay? Work will never end. I think as a manager, we have to be purposeful and realistic about how much load we give our people. Okay, if we're talking about balancing productivity, this is the PPC balance, right? So if you're looking at productivity, you want an end goal, and you also want to balance that with your capability. One, I would check and be purposeful about reviewing what's currently on deck, what's on the table. If there are ways in which I can properly or better pace certain deliverables, I would do that as a manager. I would have conversations with people in terms of what they need, like what kind of help they would need. The way that when you give them time to recharge, okay, taking time to recharge when they're actually at work, it's not something that I think a lot of people expect. But people do expect that when they're not outside of work, and this is the best thing that you can do as a manager, is that you respect the time that they have, okay? When they are not officially working, okay? Whether they're at home or in the office. If we are respectful of that particular boundary, that is a huge, huge thing that you can do for the people in your team to let them recharge, because when they don't have to worry about a deliverable, or when they're not being called into a meeting outside of their regular work hours, it gives them time to focus on themselves. It gives them opportunities to hang out with their families, to spend time with their loved ones, to do things that they actually enjoy. Okay, so for me as a manager and as an organization, that is probably the simplest, easiest thing that we can do, is that we respect that boundary between work and like home. And once we do that, people will naturally have the time that they need in order to renew, in order to do better work for you, which actually serves you better as an organization. Again, when people are driven to the ground, okay, I can promise you that the results that they will give you will not be the best, and will be so much better if you give them the opportunity to recharge themselves. Okay, so it is very much a win-win. Okay, so there. I hope that helped um, our viewer
Yeah.
who asked this question. Rob, anything
Just
to
to
add?
add, yeah, just to add, I agree completely, and I won't add too much. I think another um, area that we can look at is that somehow the mindset that we have when there's a lot of work is that it's hard to say no to people. And when I say people, it's clients. So we say that work will never end. And at the same time, we have a false mentality that if I don't attend to my client now and keep on attending to them, that I'm gonna lose the client, right? There's that false sense of scarcity. Stephen Covey calls it a scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
When actually, if we are able to set boundaries clearly, even with our clients, to set
Yep.
expectations and to be clear with those expectations, we are able to manage our time with the client properly. We're actually able to manage time productively with the people who are working in the team for this client, and so we're able to set those boundaries, and we're able to keep that PPC balance, because the mistaken notion is that, oh, this is a big client, I have to pour all my time into it. But actually, that's a misconception. It's a wrong way of thinking, or is the old way of thinking. So
Right.
we lose out on that balance. That, our clients are good people. They also understand that there has to be some kind of balance.
Absolutely.
I can go on and on about this, but really that's just another webinar, Seguro, that we can talk about on how to create these boundaries and how to manage time and clarity and all that. But just to make sure, let's look also at our mindset going into the work, and why we're working so hard without taking care of ourselves. What's our mindset?
Right.
And the mindset is that no, I don't have time because this is an important client. Then I think we need to rethink that. We need to recheck that.
Absolutely. Thanks for that input, Rob. This is such an important topic to talk about. I'm glad we have this opportunity to do it very quickly. It's really like an overview, as I mentioned earlier. there is so much in in terms of what we can still share with you. We actually have full blown programs on wellness that can go to different audiences, whether corporate or even for families or even for communities. So it is something that we feel very passionate about, as you can tell. It's something we hold very dear to our hearts because the reality is, I think there is a desire to make everybody productive. That's great, but there's also an element of let's make sure as we do that we take care of each other as well, okay, so that we are all winning and we are all living life in the way that we want it lived. So
Mhm.
on behalf of Rob, I am Sarah. We once again, first, let me say thank you to everybody who stuck with us through our difficulties. Once more, please accept our apologies for that. And thank you for still sticking it out with us all the way into the end. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sending in your questions. This really helps us, like fine tune what we want to share with you as well. And your questions also give us an idea of what is it that you want to learn from us. So if there's anything else, if are still questions that are left unanswered, or you look back at this and you think, hey, I want to find out more, please do get in touch with us. You can email us at learn@organicintelligence.com.ph, and we'd be happy to have that conversation with you. So again, on behalf of Rob and the entire Organic Intelligence team, my name is Sarah. We are OI. Thank you for tuning in. Please stay safe and well and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.